Hey, everybody, it's JJ Conway. I want to welcome you tonight to our Empowered Entrepreneur. For those of you who are new to our 2022 lineup, we have made some changes. So I'm going to pull up a slide real quick just to kind of give you a summary of who we are and what we're doing different in 2022. Again, my name is JJ Conway. I am going to share these slides. Share screen. I forgot. You know what? StreamYard has a new feature that allows you to actually share the slides, like to import the slides. And I forgot about that, so I'm not doing that. But because I forgot about that, this is taking a little longer than I intended. Okay. All right. There we go. Building wealth together. So what we're doing for 2022. What we're doing for 2022 is we are moving all of the teachings from Saturdays and all that to Thursday nights. Okay. And so I don't know why my computer is dinging at me, but hopefully if you've got a question, you can drop it in the chat and I will get to it when I get to a breaking point of what I'm talking about. But just for those of you who are new to building wealth together, we are not get rich quick here. However, I don't believe that it takes you very long to make it to financial independence. In fact, I really believe that anybody who follows these teachings, and unless you're starting off with $1 million of debt now, but anybody who's following these teachings basically can be financially independent in 7 years or less. That's what I believe. So this isn't get rich quick. This is get rich right. And we offer financial, investment, entrepreneurial education. And we know that there are a lot of different legit ways to get rich. However, what I focus on as a financial planner are things that are demonstrable, which means I can prove it and other people can prove it. They can show you their tax returns, right? And repeatable. That means it works for a wide variety of people. Some methods of building wealth work for these people, and some methods for building wealth work for those people. I try to focus on things that work for at least 80% of the population. All right. And there's always a way. There's always a way. And I specialize in helping you find ways to build wealth, to dump debt, to leave a legacy in ways that work for your personality, your energy, your time constraints, your family situation, and whatever you have going on. This is a group that's about education, ethics, and accountability. We are solutions, not a sales pitch. So what we have done for 2022 is we have changed the lineup of our classes. Every first Thursday is still Fireside Chat, where you get your money questions answered. Every second Thursday, we look at 7-figure business building. Every third Thursday, we went back to our roots. That was our original Building Wealth Together classes where we talked about real estate investing. And on the fourth Thursday, which is today, we're talking about the empowered entrepreneur. So the things that I'm sharing with you will help you take your business to the next level, no matter what business you're in. Okay. And so if there is a month with a fifth Thursday, that's going to be kind of a wild card. Most months don't have it. It's like about once a quarter, and so we'll just make that a wild card. Maybe we'll do a replay or something. It just depends on what the needs of the audience are. But that is where we are with building wealth together. And so today, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about change your world. And this is part of a groundbreaking movement around the world that just celebrated 1 year as of yesterday, 26th January, 1 year as of yesterday with the release of John Maxwell's latest book, Change Your World. And some of you may have noticed that I subtitled this event tonight, A Mastermind for Entrepreneurs Who Want to Make Money Making a Difference. So this is for you if you've been called to make a lasting impact with your life's work. If you've been wanting more out of life than just working hard at something that was supposed to be, when you started in business, it was supposed to be a business, but instead it feels like another ball and chain, job, and you feel like there's got to be more to life than this. This is for you if you want to change your communities, especially marginalized, poverty-stricken communities. This is for you today. We're going to talk about how to change your world. And this is about more than just money. This is about more than just money. This is a movement to make a real impact on a world that truly needs us. And I really believe what Zig Ziglar says, that you can have anything you want out of life if you help enough other people get what they want out of life. All right. And so that's the premise of what we're talking about today. And so usually at Building Wealth Together, we're talking about business strategies that enhance your success, right? And indeed, everybody who participated at least half of our curriculum last year, grew their business and profits. I don't know of anybody who's been following me who didn't grow their business and profits unless they had a health issue or COVID or something like that. All right. So despite the uncertainty of COVID, despite the civil unrest in our nation, they succeeded. And so can you. All right. So what we're going to talk about today has life-changing potential. And so I want you to listen, obviously. I think maybe you might want to take a few notes, but there's really something deeper than just listening and deeper than taking a few notes, okay? So what I really want is for you to say to yourself and ask yourself this question. Is this my time? Is this my moment? Because you see, all great leaders can point back to a time or a moment when there was a change from a positive decision, and that follows us the rest of our lives. And I've never been one who just believes that one decision makes or breaks you, right? Like there's always another chance, there's always another opportunity. That opportunity always comes back around, right? But I am one who believes that there are times such as this time for some of you that you can look back 5, 8, 10 years from now and say, you know what? Yeah, I listened to JJ. I took notes, but that was the day God talked to me. That was the day when I sensed that this was my moment. What I want to talk to you about today is about changing your world. And if I'm going to use the title, I guess the title would be This Is Our Time, even though the topic is Change Your World. I really believe this is our time. This is the time for us who care about our communities to rise up and change our world. And my journey is very simple. You know, I want to make a difference with people who want to make a difference, doing something that makes a difference at a time when it makes a difference. And this is a time when it makes a difference. It's our time, your time, my time. Our time is now. And I don't want to miss my time. Anybody else out there don't want to miss their time? Man, there are a lot of things as a leader I may not get right, but I can tell you one thing. I don't want to miss my leadership time. You know, I can still remember when I was in that hospital. When I was in that hospital after that car accident, unable to get my sentences out. And for a couple of hours, I wondered if I was done for, y'all. I wondered if I was going to be a vegetable for the rest of my life. I couldn't get my words to form, and I could get them to form. I couldn't get them out my mouth. And over time, when I regained my cognition, there was a sense of gratitude for life. Yes, I still have a sense of gratitude for life, but it's more than that. I really believe that my life was extended because my purpose was not yet complete. And your purpose is not yet complete. And now that I look back at that time, I realize that my life was spared. It was spared for this time. This is my time. What's more exciting to me than to have my time as a leader is for us to have our time. Because if it was just my time, honestly, it'll be good. All right, sure. But it won't be great because you can't do anything great by yourself. And it's when it's our time, when the time is good for me, and it's time for you, and it's time for we to become a community of leaders to step forth. Now it becomes great, not good, great. John Maxwell said, in every age, there comes a time when a leader must come forward to meet the needs of the hour. Hold on, y'all. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna give you that quote again because I really believe that's a powerful quote. But I'm getting a comment here that my sound is messed up. Hang on a second. If you're on the free conference call, can somebody do a *61 to let me know you can hear me? Let's see if I can change that. Okay, I appreciate you if you're on free conference call. It's on Q&A mode, so you can't unmute it. Okay. All right. I don't see it. Let me check the Facebook version here. Let me just make sure you can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me? All right. If you can hear me, give me some likes, loves, or drop me a comment because I can't hear me. I don't know. Okay. Well, if you can hear me, I hope you can hear me. If you can't, let me try this. All right, audio. Testing. It says it's going. All right. Well, we're just going to roll with it. And I'm talking about John Maxwell and John Maxwell's quote that talks about there's always a time for every leader where we must come forward to meet the needs of the hour. Okay. And so, because there comes a time for what John Maxwell said is because in every age, there comes a time that every leader must come forward to meet the needs of the hour. He says, therefore, there's no potential leader who does not have the opportunity to make a positive difference in society. So I love that there is no potential leader that does not find their opportunity. And tragically, there are times when no leader rises to the hour. And I don't ever want to be that person because this person who is an expert about leadership is saying he has never experienced in all these decades an opportunity for someone who is called to lead, that the Lord will not open up the time and the place for him or her to lead. And I don't ever want to be that person that doesn't rise to the occasion. There are times when no leader rises to the hour, and I don't ever want to be that person. I don't ever want my name in that sentence. I want my name in the previous sentences. I want to be the leader that found the right time. And I do love that quote. I know I messed it up because I was worried about my sound quality here, but I love that because it inspires me. See, a lot of times people write you off. They're like, "Oh, well, you can't possibly be a leader because of this, and you can't possibly be a leader because of that." I had somebody, and he was wrong for this. He was trying to get into my pants. I don't know why he didn't just butter me up, but he said I could never be saved because of my family background. And if the Lord had wanted to save me, he would have put me in a different family. And there's a lot of people that will count you out for things that are not even your fault. And a lot of people will judge you just based on appearance, and they'll judge you just based on what they can see on the external, but they don't know your journey. They don't know what you've been through. They don't know what you've been struggling. They don't know how hard you worked. They don't know how much you overcame to be where you are. But because you overcame what you had to overcome to be where you are in the right time, and you are in the right place to make the right difference. Woo, I'm encouraging my own self today. All right. So recently I attended a teaching called Seize the Season. And in fact, I think the facilitator was being kind of silly when he coined it, but it stuck, right? He said, you got to be seasoned Caesars. We're seasoned Caesars, where we seize the season. It's here. The season is here, and we're seizing it. We see it and we seize it. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, because the word seize is a powerful word, right? But we're entering now into our season. We change our world season. This is our time. This is our time that we need to be seizing the season. Are you a seasoned Caesar? Like, I want us all to be seasoned Caesars, and I don't want us to miss our time. And you think about what's been going on over the last 2 years. Who would have thought? I know I didn't think January 2020. I remember I was up in Seattle, had my first speaking engagement to a group larger than 1,000 women at Women in Cloud. Who would have thought that over the next 2 years we would experience COVID-19, social isolation, unemployment, global recession, schools, businesses on lockdown, racial division, protest over injustice in an election that just underlines our differences, crypto's rapid rise, and then turbulent crash, vaxxers, anti-vaxxers. I mean, these last 2 years have been shock and awe. We were shocked. And a lot of us, we are not alone, y'all. Every part of the world is still going through shock and awe. In fact, I lost more friends to COVID in 2021 than I did in 2020. And I look at how fast everything is changing, and it amazes me how fast everything has been, how fast the new normal is taking hold, how fast this or that has happened, how fast this or that got canceled, how fast this or that took effect. It started off gradual, but it's not gradual anymore. And now in America, which I'm going to use as an illustration because that's where I live, right? Everybody knows about 9/11. Everybody knows that after 9/11, our congressmen got on the steps and they held hands and they said, "God bless America." And they showed unity as Democrats, Republicans, Independents. Now, all of that was in 2001, right? 20 years later, we're not holding hands. We're not shaking our fists. We're not coming together in unity. We're coming at each other, right? I have, I'll just go ahead and say it. I have white family members who don't even talk to me anymore. We are not united as a nation. Our families are not united. Our communities are not united. We're divided. And that makes me incredibly sad. So I want to get to the root for this. Okay. I want to get to the root for this for the moment. How did we get here? And we're going to talk a little bit about economics, but I want you to know that there's a pathway to how we got here. And I think part of knowing the context in the process of why we are where we are today will create an urgency within us to do something about it. I think there's something about awareness that creates urgency in my life, in your life. And if we want to be entrepreneurs that make money, making a difference, it's time for us to really understand what is happening in our communities. Political science Alan Wolf in 2001, he wrote a book called Moral Freedom. And he interviewed thousands of people that lived in America. And he came to the conclusion that Americans live in a state of what he called moral freedom. And he defined moral freedom as the belief that life is best when each individual finds his or her own morality. And this brings with it the inevitable result of highlighting individual freedom above the community. So you see, moral freedom has some assumptions to it, some very simple assumptions like this. If everybody does their own thing, everything will work out for everybody. That's an assumption, and it's not true. If I pursue my own economic self-interest and you pursue your own economic self-interest, the economy is supposed to thrive. That's an assumption. There's no truth in that. Or how about this one? If I choose my own family style, then all children will prosper. Or if I choose my own moral code, then we'll all just be decent one to another. You and I both know that's not true. And I'm a very optimistic, some people used to call me Pollyanna style person. That is not true. All right. The result of moral freedom is selfishness. Basically, moral freedom is where I determine the focus is on me, and my interest and me are more important than you. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not here about talking about we're going to be selfless and give all of ourselves to others and not have anything for our future, not have anything for our family, and not take care of ourselves. Okay, that's not what I'm not talking about here. But stop and think about it for a second. This whole moral freedom leads to a selfishness until I want to put my rights above your rights. And I mean, come on, after all, this is the way that I believe it. So therefore, this is the way to do it. Do you see how that creates selfishness? It becomes all about me instead of having significance, which selfishness is about me and significance is focusing on other people. All right. So here's my conclusion. This kind of thinking helps us understand where we are today and why we so desperately need to have transformation. We need to have transformation and we need to learn and live positive values. You see, maximum freedom for me, and if I really press that, you know what that means. Maximum freedom for me means less freedom for, well, you. And if I have maximum freedom for me, if I put maximum value on JJ Conway, there is a tendency, a natural, normal human tendency for me to put less value on you. It's all about me, y'all. But the model starts to fall apart because the world is composed of others. And so moral freedom, I think some people watching me probably need another dose of it's all about me because you've been living for everybody else for so long. You don't even know who you are anymore. I'm not talking to you right now. You have a different conversation that we're going to talk about next week. All right. But moral freedom has basically emphasized that I increase and we don't think this, but it's the automatic response that if I increase, guess what? You gonna decrease. And that's where the great divide begins. So instead of us all working to build wealth together, I'm working to get mine at your expense. Personal freedom has become our greatest value in this country, and we really do put it above everything else. And when I put personal freedom above everything else, trust begins to fall. And that's what we're going to discover in the next couple of minutes. It's trust that's at the core of making things work in society. And the more trust we have, the better things work. And the less trust we have, the less effective. Now, I'm going to give you some stats. Back in 1964, just think in America, just in 1964, 77% of Americans trusted the federal government. 30 years later, by 1994, 20% of Americans trusted the federal government. So what happened in those 30 years, right? Well, we had Vietnam. We found out government wasn't telling us the truth about stuff. We had Watergate, and that was even worse because it meant now that the highest leader in our nation wasn't trustworthy. You fast forward to 2014 and think about it now. 70% of the people in America believe that most people can't be trusted. And you see what happens now is because most people believe that people can't be trusted, the lowering of trust, it works this way in society. It has these effects in society. We begin to lower the trust of our institutions, and it doesn't stop there. The moment we begin to have this trust slide, it is only a matter of time till I won't trust you and you won't trust me. We will not be building wealth together. All right. We will not be building wealth together. I'll be getting all mine, and I don't care if you get yours. That's the slide. That's the path. See, it's not possible for me to have an untrustworthy feeling about many things and still have a trustworthy feeling towards you. I'm a positive person and I believe the best in everybody. But if I stop believing the best in everybody, I am not going to trust everybody. Does that mean we trust everybody? Well, of course we don't trust everybody, but trust determines behavior. Trust determines behavior. Social trust. Social trust is the expectation that other people will do what they ought to do most of the time. That's what social trust is. It's the feeling that you're going to do what you ought to do most of the time. And I say most of the time because, look, we're all human, right? But most of the time, we're going to do the right thing most of the time. And social trust fails when people do what they want to do instead what they ought to do. Most of the time. And social trust is generalized faith, right? It's a general faith about the people in your community. It begins with an assumption that we are interdependent, so that we need each other and our destinies are linked. It assumes we share the same moral values. Now, don't hear what I didn't say. I didn't say we share the same politics. I didn't say we share the same religion, but that we share the same values. Okay? Now, look, I've led all my life. Even when I didn't realize what I was doing. And people said, as a young girl, they always tell young girls you're being bossy, but really they're showing leadership traits, right? I've led all my life. And I understand what trust means to a culture and to a society and to a team. And I'm understanding what it means to be a leader. And here's what I want you to catch. Don't miss this. Whatever matters to you, whatever matters to me, whatever matters to human beings right now, I'm going to tell you something. Trust is the atmosphere in which it thrives. What matters to me the most thrives best in a trusting culture and a trusting atmosphere. And what we have found and what I've seen in my leadership research is very simple. These trust communities are able to uplift. And the other thing that I've seen, and this is what makes me so sad, y'all, the most marginalized people in our cultures, our American culture, they're the ones who have the lowest trust factor. So for America, it's Black Americans. And a research study reported that only 15% of African Americans believe that people can be trusted. And across all races, our lower middle class and the working poor, which is 40% of our country, 70% believe people can't be trusted. The lower middle class and the working poor are insecure about their place in society, and they're insecure about how they financially can make it in society. And what's more challenging, and probably the main fuel that ignites this transformation, right? The main fuel is that 10% of millennials, 10%, just 10% of millennials believe that most people can be trusted. That means 90% believe that most people can't be trusted. And when I saw that, I said, oh my goodness, the next generation to take their place as leaders in our country, 90% of them believe that most people cannot be trusted. 71% of millennials will believe that most people will take advantage of you if they get the chance. And so the people who most need to build ecosystems of trust in order to change their world, the lower class and the working poor, are the people who are the least likely to trust each other and lift each other up. The most marginalized people group in our country, the people who most need to build ecosystems of trust in order to change their world, Black Americans, are the people who are least likely to trust each other and lift each other up. This is a problem. I'm going to let that marinate for a second. All right. Fasten your seatbelt. Stay with me on this journey for just a couple more minutes because I want to put all this together, right? And I promise you I'm going to put it all together. So moral freedom without values creates insecurity. That's the effect, okay? You give any person, and especially someone young, moral freedom, but you don't teach them good values, it will create insecurity. And what we have in our culture today is an identity insecurity. And I want you to hear what I'm saying. All the traits that were once ascribed to you by your community, now you must determine on your own. Your identity, your morality, your gender, your vocation, your purpose, and the path of becoming yourself. It all becomes a major anxiety-inducing act of young adulthood. And a result of that is that we have begun to seek validation from others, especially through social media. Well, now since I'm trying to find my own way and I'm not finding, I've got to find somebody else that validates my self-worth. So I go to social media and I want to make sure I get a whole bunch of likes. I get a whole bunch of likes and all the comments and all the loves and all the hearts. And all of a sudden I got to make sure that these people like me. For many people, it's impossible to think without simultaneously thinking about what other people would think about what you're thinking. And 81% of people under 30 feel anxious, depressed, lonely, or hopeless at least one day a week. When we have better values on the inside, we require less validation on the outside. That doesn't mean we don't still take the selfies, because y'all know I do love me to take a good selfie, right? But let me reiterate. When we have those values on the inside, it doesn't require the validation on the outside. You can like my picture or not like my picture. I know what I'm called to do, and I know what I'm about. Once I know who I am and I have lived and embraced and fleshed good value out of my life, your validation of me is not nearly as important to me anymore, because I already embrace good values and I have already discovered self-worth. Fewer values on the inside requires more validation on the outside. That's why we have got to be bigger on the inside than we are on the outside. Okay, I'm a little bit bigger than I need to be on the outside, but I'm going to tell you what right now, I'm bigger on the inside than I am on the outside, man, and I'm solid. So that's why I'm so thrilled to be sharing this with you today, okay? So in transformation and this change your world process, we are values centric. And I love our iLead program for students in school. And y'all have seen me talk about this. Whenever I take my son and his friends into the Metroplex to go do something, it's an hour and a half, 2-hour drive, I'm pulling out the John Maxwell books. It embarrasses my son to no end, but his friends actually get into it. And so if you've never heard of this curriculum, it's actually free of charge that you can implement in your youth serving organization from the John Maxwell, not the John Maxwell team, but the John Maxwell, I think it's called Equip, the charity arm. Okay. So year one is I choose good values. Year number 2 is I do good values. And curriculum year number 3 is I lead with good values. And I really feel that the answer to the identity insecurity in this world is helping our kids discover, develop, practice, and live out good values. See, there's a difference between a high trust culture and a low trust culture. And you see this around the world. Some of us have worked in high trust cultures, and some of us have worked in low trust cultures. Some of us have been in low trust cultures all our adult life, and you don't even know what it's like to work in a high trust culture. If the country that you're in has a high trust culture, then when there's a problem, if the country, if the company, if the city, if the people group, if your church has a high trust culture, then whenever there's a problem, and come on now, look, there's always problems. Whenever there's a problem, people in a high trust culture in that country, that community, that company, that organization, that church, that nonprofit organization, they say, well, what can we do? What can we do? Oh my goodness, we got to do something. We got to do something. In a low trust culture, the accusation begins and everybody's pointing around saying, oh, well, you failed us. You failed us. You failed. It's your fault. Throwing people under the bus. That's what happens in a low trust culture. So now we're contextually, I hope you've been seeing from this, we're beginning to understand why we are where we are today, which is very important. And remember, leaders see more than others see. Leaders see more of the picture than others see, and they see more of the picture before others see it. And y'all who've been to Live to Lead, you remember hearing one year we did that theme with John Maxwell, and it was like, I want to see more and more and more before. And the good news for you, you're here today, we got an answer. We have an answer. Our time is now. We know that the answer is trust. The answer is community. The answer is transformation. And that transformation starts one person at a time. Think about how much better our world will become when more of us have trust-based values, such as adding value to others, generosity, responsibility, hope, passion, self-control, boundaries, humility, self-worth, initiative, having priorities. Think about our kids. Think about our kids. Think about how much more confident our children would be if we could pour into them a greater dose of courage, integrity, purpose, valuing every person, empathy for one another. Well, what about listening? Man, we need that too. Not just the kids, the adults too. Relationships, working hard. And guess what? We can do it. We can impart these values to our next generation. And it starts with us learning and living those values in our own personal life. And then we will become more viable as a community and begin to build more of the trust that's needed to transform our community. You don't have to get everybody on board. You just need to get a good core group, and it can spread like wildfire. Now that trust now is developed one relationship at a time. And some of us been lying to ourselves for a long time. We don't even trust ourselves internally anymore. Some of us have been lying to ourselves, saying we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But when push comes to shove, boy, we shove truth right out the door. Our communities need to be changed. And the only way they're going to be changed is from the inside out, one relationship at a time. And it all begins with you. It all begins with you making a decision to seize this season of impact and significance. So I am specifically looking for entrepreneurs who are in business, not just to make money, but to make money making a difference in their communities. I want to invite you to join me and other leaders on the John Maxwell team as we take a 6-week journey together. Let me bring that up. As we take a 6-week journey together that ignites this process of transformation within you. Not only that, but this process will equip you to ignite this transformation in others. And before everybody falls off my Facebook and my YouTube, I want to let you know that there's absolutely no charge for this. You will learn how to develop trust first in yourself, and then also how to attract, build, and retain trustworthy community networks to help you change your world. Now, if you are one of these entrepreneurs, if you're one of my Change Your World entrepreneurs, then I want you to go right now to changeyourworld.com and register today for the Change Your World Mastermind. It is completely no cost. It is a complimentary gift from us as members of the John Maxwell team. It'll give you everything you need to equip you with tools that allow you to lead transformation in your communities. I hope that you will join me. In making a difference as we build wealth together. I'm JJ Conway. I want to thank you for joining me today for our Empowered Entrepreneur session. I hope you'll join me next Thursday for our fireside chat, same time, same place. That's all I have for you tonight. Y'all take care and be blessed.